What's going on, guys? Milsurp Man here again today. I wanted to do this video on kind of response to some comments I had on my Colt SOCOM video. Some comments saying that Colt's not the company they used to be. The Colt rifles are junk. Colt sucks. And I've got two rifles out in front of me. I've got my most recent Colt. I've had that just a few months. And I've got my very first Colt I've ever purchased. This is a LE6920 Colt M4 law enforcement. And I bought this, let's say, probably close to 9 or 10 years ago. And I've had it ever since. Not shot it much. But it's pretty much back then when these rifles were made were the gold standard. And I just want to talk about how people nowadays say that, Colt's junk. I want to talk about that. So, when this particular carbine was produced, Colt, I think this was made in 2013, maybe a little bit earlier. It was made right around the time that Colt had lost the contract with the M4 carbine. They lost it to FN. Colt had the contract from 94 to 2012 or 2011. And this rifle was made shortly after that or during that time. And you can see of course your roll stamps, your M4 carbine, your LE serial number. You go over to this side of the rifle, you got your C, your government cage code. You've got your CMP 5.56 NATO marked barrel. Like I said, you got a C on the bolt, and this is pretty much right when they were coming off the line. This is as true to Colt M4 as you can get. They were not doing any difference between manufacturing on the law enforcement side. Both rifles are made to the same spec, same technical data package as the M4 carbine, minus this has a 16-inch barrel. The M4s had 14-inch. Plus the civilian guns have semi-automatic capabilities only, with the military M4s having burst or full. So transition to a few years later, you've got in 2019 Colt dropped the AR15 from civilian lines for a couple of years, and then started reintroducing them. And I found this SOCOM pop in one of my local gun shops and decided to pick it up. So obviously, if you look at them, main difference that jumps out in front of you is, you've got laser etching now instead of roll marking. And that's not to say that Colt's junk. Every modern company does that now. It's just easier for them to do. They get the markings more uniform. As you can see, proper U.S. government M4 carbine. It's a lot easier for them to do that, and a lot cheaper than it would be to roll stamp this. Also, there's a QR code. That's just an easy way for them to track it during the process. Instead of, how they used to do it, milling these out, adding the serial number, and then doing everything later. Another big thing, if you know about your old Colts, most of the parts are marked C with a C code. Well, now instead of the C code, you've got your 13629, which is Colt's cage code for the U.S. military. And they've been doing that for several years now, but for some reason that just people really don't like that. And to me, it's not a big deal. It's still, it's still a Colt rifle. It's their cage code. It doesn't make it not a Colt to me. The parts are still Colt. Now, I will say this. Now, when you're picking up one of these Colt rifles, you really got to watch what parts may have 13629 and what parts don't. So I've seen some people have SOCOMs that don't have any 13629, and Colt has been outsourcing parts. After the contract, they weren't required to manufacture all the parts necessary. So to get things cheaper for the company, they would outsource parts. And I think this particular Colt SOCOM has a Roscoe barrel in it, but it's got Colt's cage code because it was inspected by Colt and went through Colt's QC. And that's where we're kind of talking point is in this video, is that even though these rifles have changed so much within the 9 or 10 years, you don't have your nice roll stamps. You may not have, the Colt parts made by Colt in-house, but you still have Colt's QC. Everything on this rifle in front of me went through Colt's QC process, of the barrel being marked 13629, the upper receiver, of course you got your lower receiver, my safety's marked 13629, my front, the sling swell's marked 13629. Every part on that is a government part. and they're required to go through a government inspection process, just like they did with these rifles when they were being manufactured for the government. So just to say, because this rifle has that, it's junk, that's just a false statement. A lot of people have been saying the uppers on these have wobble. You know, my SOCOM has a slight wobble. So does this M4 6920 has a slight wobble. And guys, I've never understood why the wobble really bothers people so bad. You know, they have a spec they can go into on the wobble. Some might be tighter than others, some might be looser. But as long as your gun's within spec, you're going to be fine. Just enjoy the rifle and shoot it. It's not going to fall apart on you. And I can understand the price point of these guns, you know, being well over $1,000. I think this one was $1,350, and at the time I purchased this one, it was $1,150. I still have the receipt. You're paying for, really what you're paying for is you're paying for your barrel, your quality barrel, and that QC. Both of these rifles have chrome-on barrels. Sorry. Both these, like I said, both these rifles have chrome-on barrels. Both of them have went through Colt's QC process, which is, well, on this rifle has been excellent. I've not had any issues with it. Not to say that there's not been lemons before, but let's show you one thing here. Look at the staking on this older M4 Colt. See that staking? That's pretty good, right? Everybody would think that was acceptable, being an older Colt. Well, look at this staking. Yeah. If you can tell me the difference between these two rifles on staking, I'd be surprised. They're identical. They're both Colt staking, both Colt quality. There's virtually no difference between these two rifles, apart from maybe not all components being made in-house. And the QC is still there. The quality is still just as good as the old Colts, in my opinion. They might not be as collectible now because, you know, of course, everybody likes the M4 carbine roll stamp, which I think they are doing now with the new LE60 or the CR6920s. They were marked carbine for a while. I had one a while back and sold it, but they used to be marked just carbine, and people hated that, so they went back to M4 carbine. But of course, it is laser etched, and it's not roll marked like this old gun is. But I just wanted to talk about that, guys, and say that. You know, let's look at this right here. You got your T-handle or T-marked upper. You got your M4. I don't know if you can see that M4 right there on the upper receiver. Same thing here, T-marked, M4 marked. To me, both of these rifles they're excellent. To me, I've owned Colts all my life. Now, granted, back right before they started, or right after, I can't remember, when I had the CR that said carbine. Now that was a particular rifle that was questionable. It didn't have a T-marked upper receiver. Its quality was skeptical, but it was an excellent rifle. It still shot good. It just had things that Colt doesn't normally do. But as of 2023, when I picked this Colt up, I've seen no difference in this older Colt. They're excellent. I fired lots of rounds, or not so many out of this one. I've kind of shot this and kind of put it away, but I put a lot of rounds through this one. I've not had any malfunctions of any type so far. It's an excellent rifle. So I just want to talk about that, guys, and just kind of put that rumor to rest that Colt rifles are junk. They're not junk at all. If you're thinking about buying one, just look it over real good at the shop. Make sure the parts are marked 13629. If I got a Colt rifle that didn't have an inspection code or the part code like that, I mean, I don't know. I would rather have the ones that were marked 13629 if it were me. But I've not held one of those rifles. I've not seen personally any that haven't been marked that. All the ones I've seen had the Colt cage code on them. So I don't know. Each person's mileage may vary. Maybe it's just my sample set that's, you know, good quality. But I really truly think the Colt's quality is still there. It's just, you know, people hate change, and, you know, I do too. I wish we could still have the roll marks. I wish we could still have this same rifle, but, you know, that's just not feasible nowadays. Times have changed, and Colt's changed, and, you know, we've just got to accept how things change sometimes. But I love this rifle up here. I couldn't say enough good things about it. Like you can see, I've got the ACOG on there. It looks just like an M4A1. I've loved it so far, just like I love this rifle. This is my old girl, my first love when it comes to Colt ARs. I come from the factory of the Magpul furniture, and I just love it. Thanks for watching, guys. I just wanted to go over that real quick and just kind of put that rumor to rest for a bit. and I appreciate you guys for watching. Thanks.